Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Champions Annual 2018. Just number one, whatever. I like the year. I like the year. Okay, so let's get talking about this comic book, man. The writers are Jim Zub and Nyla Inyuksuk. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Marcus Toe is the artist. Jordan Boyd is the color artist. Letters and production by VC's Clayton Cowles, and R.B. Silva and Marcio Menez did the cover art. Real quick, Nyla Inyuksuk is the consultant that Jim Zub and I think, Sean Isaacs, whatever, had used when they created Snow Guard. So that's her importance here. I'm glad that she got writer's credit on this, not just consulting credit. All right, so this story starts, and it's basically giving a slightly more extensive background for Amka, Snowguard. She is, like, this is the day that she got her tattoos and, all these other, the facial tattoos and all these other parts up until the point where she got her powers and left, to join the Champions. Well, on this particular day, back in Nunavut, she returns. Nunavut, I don't know if I can pronounce his first name. Pangnirtong. But Nunavut is the capital of this particular large expanse of land. I actually know more than I guess should know about this land, because my wife is actually thinking about moving us all up to work. Northern Territory. Oh my God. Where like the ground is permafrost. Dear God, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but we'll see. We'll see. Which would you guys prefer? You would rather see Professor Bill doing the This Week in Comics from Gotham Central, or doing it while fighting a polar bear? Because I'm just saying, everybody gets their jollies in a different way. Bear steaks for everyone, baby. So anyway, she returns, and she gets a mixed reaction when she returns. Of course, her mother is all like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here, and all that good stuff. And then her some of her family are really happy to see her. Some of them are not. And it is what it is. That's leaving and coming back, as specifically if you're from a small town. I'm from a lot of different towns, so I get that. What do you call? So it's interesting the way that she actually deals with her. She keeps a level head. Now, she's only 16, and she keeps a level head. That's impressive. That's a hard one to argue with. She gets a little bit crushed on by this one kid who's too embarrassed to give her to actually act out on the crush, and she got somebody who's particularly, I don't know, adamant about the idea that she left them. Interesting. To move on, a couple of different things happen while she's here also. A couple little instances happen. There's a giant that comes along. There's a woman who forgets herself. Her Alzheimer's seems to really take over, and she gets lost out in the wilderness. All of this happens in the summertime, mind you. In the winter, it gets effing cold. That's an actual temperature, effing cold. Anyway, it's on the Celsius scale. So she goes on these different adventures. Now, all of these are actually connected. All of these crazy things that happen. A giant from her mythology, from her religion. It's still practice, so it's religion. What do you call it? The memory loss. At one point, she realizes what's actually causing all of this. It's these particular spirits who, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce their name unless somebody says it for me first, like 3 or 4 times. But they steal memories because they're preserving these memories. People forget. That's what happens. The people forget their culture, their history. We all do at the end of the day. It doesn't matter where you're from or whatever. You find out, oh, I'm actually this, or that culture or ethnicity or religion or whatever. And everybody just winds up forgetting it because you're making your own. There's so much out there. We're so diverse that we're all learning an entirely different culture, which is just as good. And it's mostly an old person thing, and people who get deep seeds of nostalgia, who want to keep on to their history, their languages, things like that. There's positivity in going both ways. There's positivity in being able to juggle 2 worlds or more. at the same time. Many of us, like myself, I'm more than just one thing. I'm not just, I'm part Cherokee. But I'm also Italian. I got a little Irish and a wee little bit of Dutch in me. That's where I get my height from, tallest people in Europe. But I feel what she's talking about. I feel like there were many things that were said in here. Little things like blink and you miss it. There are parts where she says at one point, I wish I would have listened to my grandfather's stories a little bit more. Yeah. The only Italian that I know is from my 100% full-blooded Sicilian great-grandmother who died when I was 14, and the only language she spoke was Italian with that deep Southern accent, and that's how I learned Italian. And I haven't had any real, not even just need, I haven't even barely had an opportunity to speak Italian since then, and when I went to Italy, but that's neither here nor there. I was mostly in the north, and they didn't understand my Sicilian to begin with. But it's a strange thing, and you're learning other cultures, other languages as you grow up, as you move on. And this comic really touched on a lot of that. And it understood, it's very self-aware of the need to understand both sides, both aspects, the moving on while not forgetting. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that so many people are forgetting because, what we do, it's not cool. And it's funny because if you're snatched away from that, that's the only thing that you want to get back to, And this comic book could have gone into that more, but it was just more about Snowguard herself. Like, the comic was very neutral in that regard. It didn't get risky. It didn't get risque. It just kind of stayed with the idea of, I wish I still, had the opportunity to stay here and learn more, but the world could really use me outside a lot more too. So I dug that. This was a really fun comic book, and it gets me thinking because, you think about the cultures that we forget, how our parents and our grandparents, they'll say things that sometimes seem racist, but in reality, it's just, no, don't lose who you are. And it's hard to maintain that. I'm going to give you just a real quick, if this is your first time ever seeing one of my videos, then I do this a lot. I give personal stories sometimes, how I relate to the comic book more. Maybe you guys can think of, and if you do, share personal stories also in the comments. I love to hear people's stories. I genuinely do. I'm a storyteller, but I'm also a story listener. Just saying. Maybe that's why we both love comic books so much, right? So when I was 19 years old, I got in touch with this guy. Our paths wound up crossing, and I went to the house of this guy named Ingwe. Very cool Native American guy. 100%, not that it really matters that much. And he promised to take me on a spirit quest. I wanted to go on a vision quest, and I wanted to, understand more about myself. And it's something that I think most Native Americans do at some point or another. And there are different ways to do it. Mine was going off, here we go, in a loincloth by myself in the woods with a little baggie, a little satchel of trail mix. And it would have been better for me to not eat the trail mix. I didn't. 3 days. You get hungry. But you try and come into contact, at the very least, with your spirit animal while you're out there. And maybe do a little astral dancing while you're out there. But the point is, I did all this. And the most important part to me in this is specifically Ingwe, because Ingwe's not with us anymore. Ingwe died a couple decades ago. But something that he told me the first day I met him and the last day that I saw him was, remember me. Always remember me. And I feel like he told this to everybody he met. Always remember me, because that's how much longer I will be connected to this earth. Even though I can't walk on the earth, I can still see it where I'll be. Because once everybody forgets me, that's when I'm forgotten. So, it's interesting, and this is one of the reasons why all natives, or in Canada they're called First Nations, and I actually like that term better because we're all technically Native Americans if we were born in America, right? But First Nation sounds better. The First Nation who came and settled and stayed in the Americas whether, you know, Canada, America, whatever. So this is one of the reasons why natives or, you know, First Nations have such a deep culture, a deep lineage culture. Try and remember this person and that person in your family, because they always want to see the earth, the Mother Earth that they came from. And it's beautiful. You know, when you think about it, it's beautiful. They can live, sleep, play, dance, track, hunt, everything, and still see their home. So now that I've mentioned it to you, going to get a little choked up now. Keep Bing away in your minds. He would have wanted it. Anyway, guys, good comic book. I enjoyed it. I love when a comic book can bring out some emotion in you, and this one definitely did. All right, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.